Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Today I want to talk about reciprocity. Reciprocity. I recently had something happen, and I wanted to kind of share that and just kind of give some insights on, giving back to others. This, people network because they want to get from their network. And so people who get things feel like they have this need to give back. So at any rate, this was recently, I had somebody reach out to me and thank me for just some things I have done. This is not a humble brag. I don't mean it to be a humble brag, but I've just set up a couple things that have worked to benefit this particular individual. Not everything I do works for everybody, but some of the things I do work for lots of people, and for some it works in a big way. And for this person, it worked really well. And initially he came at me, and we'll leave everybody out of this, names out of this, came at me and said, listen, I would be willing to pay you for what you do. I have in addition to AmSpirit Business Connections, I have a couple monthly calls, one just for not-for-profits called the Charitable Roundtable. I should dedicate a whole episode to that and talking about that at some point, and perhaps I will. But I also do something on the second Wednesday of every month called the Networking Hub. And you can, if you're a coach, consultant, podcaster, if you're willing to contribute to others, help others, and be willing to be vulnerable and ask in return, you're certainly welcome to attend. There is no cost. It's complimentary. People view it as kind of a complimentary service of AmSpirit Business Connections. And that's great because I do run into a lot of people that help the organization as a result. So it's not what I intended it to be, but that's how it's become, and so be it. Second Wednesday of the month, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Go to networking-hub.com, networking-hub, not the word dash, but the sign dash, hub.com, and you can find a login. At any rate, this particular individual is fairly regular on the Networking Hub and has done really well through it. He says, you ought to charge for this. And he said, you ought to charge, and he gave me some different numbers and whatnot. And that's fine. That's great. Everybody can kind of look at what I do and just, well, I think we all do that. We look at somebody else's life and just kind of, I would do it this way, sort of a thing. And that's fine. People are welcome to their opinion. They can, explain whatever they want to explain about it. I just don't want to charge for it. It's just for a lot of reasons. It's something that I do, and I get a lot of benefit out of myself, so I don't really feel like I need to be financially compensated, number one. And number two, for me, it kind of changes the dynamics of it. This is something where I can offer somebody an invitation to it. Yeah, it's complimentary, but I can point people out to it. I can get people in there. I can introduce them. So it's something I can use to give to other people. It's a great way for me to connect a lot of the people I know with some great new people in a very efficient manner. So there are a lot of reasons I don't want to charge for it. It's just, I have a business. I have AmSpirit Business Connections. That keeps me plenty busy with chasing after money and getting people invoices and so on and so forth. I don't need to create another layer. Not everything I do in life, not everything you do in life should have compensation attached to it. Sometimes you just do things, and this is one of those things. At any rate, he said, this gentleman said, you should charge for this. And I went through and I explained my whole reason as to why I didn't want to charge. I appreciated his insights. I do appreciate his insights. I appreciate people looking out for me. I really do. And sometimes people seem to be concerned that might be giving too much away. And you know what? Maybe there's an argument there, but again, I get things out of this stuff. Not that I'm calculating and trying to get things, but life seems to take care of me. I have a lot of great contacts, opportunities to help myself, help my kids. A lot comes from it, and you can't measure the productivity of your network in dollars and cents alone. You just can't. But that's a whole nother conversation. So anyhow, told this individual, listen, I'm just really not interested in doing that. I'm glad things are going well for you. I'm just not going to charge you. So he came back at me and he said, listen, I want to do something for you. Um, Give me your address. Tell me your favorite restaurant. I'm like, okay, I need to be better at. If somebody wants to try and do something for me. Okay, fine. Here's my address. If you're going to show up unexpected, bring a rake and a toilet brush. I'll put you to work. That's my usual line when I give out my address. I gave my address and I figured, okay, fine. He was going to send me a gift card. Told him my favorite restaurant. And to be honest, that's hard. I'm not a foodie. I don't wax poetic about, a meal or anything like that. I'm more, let's go in. If there's a wait, I don't want to wait. I want to be seated. I want to be served. I want to eat. I want to get on with my life. I want to go to the movies. I don't want to go watch the game. I don't drink, so I'm not going to sit there and have a glass of wine. Coffee is not my thing, so I'm not going to have a cup of coffee. People might not agree with any of that, and that's fine. It's fine. Um, Whatever. So I'm not a foodie, so I'm like, okay, let me think about this. Okay, here's my favorite restaurant. I think I said Longhorn. Yeah, I did say Longhorn, looking back at the email exchange here. And this person who's attempting to do these things, we leave their name out of it. Great person, funny, just a good person. But he emailed me back about an hour later, and he said, all right, just spoke with, named the manager at Longhorn. He said, 1, go there. 2, eat. 3, have the manager call me. 4, I pay. And, to me, that's a little odd, right? You know, um, Maybe not. It's just not my style, right? I shouldn't be critical of it. It's not my style of, going into a restaurant and I need to speak with the manager. Is everything okay? No, I just need to speak with the manager. Hey, manager, you need to call so and so. He said he would take care of my meal. It's just, to me, that's a little outside my comfort zone. And I don't mind people wanting to help me and trying to help me. I don't know that I need to go outside my comfort zone for that to happen. And so anyhow, be what it is. My response was, certainly thanks. Emailed thanks. And I just said I didn't know when I would be getting to Longhorn. Again, I'm not a foodie, right? I finish work. I might grab something on the way home. I like to cook, so I shop and have food, and there's food there. So I don't, it's not like I'm racing out to go get a meal. And I realize that's not everybody, but it's just who I am. And I like to cook. I think my wife likes my cooking, so life is good. So I don't know where I'm going to go. And I told him, I said, I'm not so sure I would be willing to do this. To go there and have a meal and call the manager and say, call whomever, and he's going to take care of my meal. But I did explain, I'm not going to do this, but I do appreciate the gesture. I appreciate the willingness to want to do something for me. I'm happy that whatever I've done for you is working out. I'm, totally happy. I don't want to say it's unintended, but, you do things in life and you just don't know how they're going to work out. You introduce two people, and they may hit it off. There's two people in my life that I've introduced, and, well, actually two sets of people that have been introduced through my efforts, and they hit it off, and they're engaged. And that was never my intent. It was never my intent. I'm happy for them, happy for both sets. And again, we'll leave their names out of it. happy for both sets. But I introduce people, and sometimes it's, wow, this is the greatest thing. You have no idea. Sometimes you don't hear anything, and it doesn't go anywhere. So I don't really, I'm just kind of, when I network and introduce people, it's just I'm throwing out possibilities there, and it may work, it may not. And if it does work out, great. If it doesn't, let's keep trying. Let's keep trying. Maybe not now, but maybe another time in the future something will work out. But what I followed up with respect to this, and this is really kind of the point, is kind of a long-winded point to this whole podcast, is I said there's no expectation of reciprocity. I'm not expecting that I do something and I get anything in return. I do get something in return. When I find out, when a thank you makes me feel good, when I find out that these things work out, it thrills me. I'm happy for you. My life is, I've got a good life. And so I'm not going to, just because somebody might be doing really, really well off of something I've done. If I connect two people and they both make $1 million and I go nowhere near that, you know what? That's okay. That's, I can't, I'm not going to sit here and be upset about it. What's the saying out there? Someone else's beauty doesn't diminish yours. Someone else's success doesn't diminish your success. The fact that somebody else finds really great success through something you've done doesn't mean you're entitled to the success. Just life works for you how it's going to work for you. So I don't have this expectation of doing something for someone and expecting that something come of it. I hope for it. I certainly do question my actions and activities from time to time. I question whether I should be, having phone conversations with people, and I try to be guarded about it. I think everybody needs to be a little guarded about it. If I'm walking into a situation and it's very one-sided, I know it's going to be very one-sided, meaning I'm going to be pitched. It's going to be a short call. It's just going to be a short call. That's all. I'm not going to be rude about it, but it's just going to be a short call. But I told this individual there's no expectation of reciprocity. But I said, if you feel as if you must give something to me in return, don't feel like there's a rush. There shouldn't be any sort of rush to repay. We do things and it'll happen. It'll happen. If you really feel like you need to give back to me, it'll happen. Just wait. And I went on to say I'd prefer assistance that advances me professionally. And I threw in there and not my waistline, which is kind of a cute way of I don't need to eat another meal at Longhorn. But I mean, I do. Nothing wrong with it, but I want to grow my business. That's my passion. And I guess part of the message here is don't be in a rush to reciprocate, number one. And two, if you're looking to reciprocate to someone, then try to understand what they want. Try to understand what they want. That's what is most appreciative, is the things that they want, not something that you think they might want, or something that's, buying someone a meal is kind of trite. Sending, thank yous are great, right? Don't get me wrong. Thank yous are great, but just hey, here's a dozen donuts, I've reciprocated. I don't want to say no, you haven't, because that sounds horrible, but I think you understand where I'm coming from. It's like, if that's all you can do, then great, then do it. But if you really feel compelled to reciprocate, then go that extra mile and figure out what that good thing would be to reciprocate. Don't put pressure on yourself. It'll come in time. I hear people saying all the time, hey, what can I help you? And I'll go through what I'm looking for. And they might oh, geez, I don't know anybody. And they kind of feel bad. It's like, just relax. Don't worry about it. I'm not keeping score. There's not a timer on this. It'll happen when it happens. And you know what? It usually does, and it might be a little later, and then you're really excited about it. That's been my experience. But I went on. The last thing I said in this particular message was, the best thing you can do for me is just do for another. In other words, you might not be able to reciprocate to me, but if you could help somebody else, and then they help somebody else, and it kind of works its way through the system, right? A rising tide raises all ships. That goodness is going to make its way back to me, and I'll be fine. I'll be taken care of. And that's really how networking works. That's how adding value to others and just trusting that it'll come back to you. It may never come back to me from this particular individual. I don't know that I'll go to Longhorn, order a meal, and have the manager call. Well, I can pretty much say I won't. My wife won't have anything to do with it. But that's not the point. It's, you can, one, you don't need to rush into reciprocating. Two, if you really feel the need and take your time, do something that's going to really add value in a way that the person you're trying to reciprocate to would value. And then the last thing, really the best way to reciprocate is just pay it forward. Be a giver. Just give to other people. Those are the things that really, really raise things up. So just a quick little story, quick little lesson. Don't rush reciprocity. It'll take care of itself in time. And if you really feel like you need to do something that the person really wants. But the best thing you can do is just help other people.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.